And welcome back, Nats fans, to another episode of the DoDcast Postgame Show as we are live at 1:22 a.m. Eastern Time because, well, it was raining outside and the Nats decided it would take 3 hours to start this game, in a game where they were in the game but not really in the game, as the Braves take the first one of this 4-game series 5-2. Weather delay goes 3 hours and 5 minutes. There's really no rain until 9 o'clock, but they leave the tarp off the field and they decide, let's not play right away. And then at 9 o'clock, it rains lightly. Then they put the tarp on the field. And then at 10:10, they play baseball. At 10:10, they play baseball. And if you're at the game, and all power to you. You wait 3 hours, you deserve all the free hot dogs, soda, water, ice cream, move up wherever you want. The Nats handled that right. Probably the only thing they handled right. Because that's an embarrassment. And you hope that the learners and Mike Rizzo, they should be embarrassed because that was a joke. You could have moved that game up to 6:30. You could have moved it up to 6. If you knew the weather was coming, and they knew the weather was coming, they were maybe not fortunate enough that it skipped them. But they remember that it was, I think Pete Kurzweil at Masson pointed it out. A couple months ago, they moved the Seattle game up the next day because of inclement weather. So don't tell me there's no precedent for that. But they decided to wait and wait and wait and wait and became the laughingstock in baseball tonight. You had the Rays send out a fake radar while they're in a dome that they're playing. It was just a real frustrating night all around, and I can't blame Matt Sanchez leaving because I'm from New York. The only one who's really from the area that does the DoDcast is Drew. But he tells us all the time about the Metro. Why are fans going to come back to the ballpark when they can't get on the Metro after a certain time? So that doesn't make any sense. And you hope the Nats do the right thing for fans that went to the ballpark and left, because those fans deserve better. Now, I have the statement. Barry Sfraluga, the Washington Post, tweeted out a 4-part statement, which, because in Twitter you can only write 140 characters, from Mike Rizzo. Tonight was tough. We could see weather heading our way, want to be proactive, but the timing on its arrival kept shifting. We hate when this happens. It's such a tough spot to be in. Do you start play or not? There are so many factors to consider, including how a mid-game delay would impact our players. We know the fans came to see a game, and we hate that we made them wait. We appreciate everyone's patience tonight. Now, again, you were allowed to come back to the ballpark if you wanted to, but you can't, right? Because some people just can't do it. We got transportation. It's still tomorrow's a Friday. Well, today's a Friday. It's a work day. And Ron's going to have more on this tomorrow, but the Braves are upset about it. They should be upset about it. And they played like a team that was upset about it. So the Nationals are 100%, 1,000% at fault. I think they handled this wrong from the beginning, and hopefully they learn from this, because that's not a good night PR-wise for your team. It's not. So let's talk about the actual game. If you want to comment on anything, if you were at the game or you left the game early, feel free to send it to the chat room here on the YouTube page, or tweet me on Twitter at District on Deck or at Rickinator555. Here's stat lines. Braves 5 runs on 12 hits, no errors. Nationals 2 runs on 11 hits, no errors. Nats went 0 for 9 with men in scoring position. That was really the story of this game. Just did not get any clutch hits when they needed to. And they have a lot of guys right now that are slumping in this lineup. Just did not come through in the clutch hit. Atlanta did. It did often. Mike Fulton-Newitz gets the win. 6 innings, 2 runs, 8 hits, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk. And another rough loss for Gio. 6 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. Does throw 105 pitches, 70 strikes. Not a bad game from Gio. I thought he looked pretty good and just had some rough points in this game. Atlanta got on the board in the 3rd inning after the Nats took a 1-0 lead on Wilmer Diffo's sac fly, but the Braves got an RBI double from Freddie Freeman. And then in the 4th, Kurt Suzuki doubles Johan Camargo singles, and it's 2-1. And then Kurt Suzuki, the sole shot in the 6th after the game was tied in the 5th inning. Suzuki was beaten up on Nats pitching all night, and he's been doing really good against him this year. And that's just been the case with Gio all season. There are games where he pitches pretty good, and the team just doesn't score for him. And that's why he's 7-4. Either the bullpen blows the game or the offense doesn't score enough. That's just the way it is. His ERA is still only at about, for the season, still a pretty good rate. He's going to end his first half with a 2.86, and you sign up for that any day of the week. I don't think anybody thought Gio's ERA was going to be that low going to the All-Star break. And he hasn't been bad. I thought his breaking ball was pretty good. Had good fastball location. Just made a couple of mistakes. And tonight he couldn't afford to make those mistakes. The control is much better. Only had 2 walks, and I think one of them was was intentional. So, all in all, not a bad game by Gio, but does not get the result he might have deserved. As far as the offense goes, huge night for Brian Goodwin. Goes 3 for 5. Did strike out at the end, but hits a solo shot in the 5th to tie the game. Goes over 400 feet. And Brian Goodwin's been one of their best players over the last couple of weeks. He's done a nice job hitting out of the leadoff spot. And there's no reason that shouldn't stay the same. I mean, right now, I don't care about platoons. I don't care about those things that Dusty's been doing. And we'll talk about the Michael Taylor injury. Brian Goodwin should hit leadoff every day. Now, I would love him to steal more. I want to see back to aggressiveness, stealing bases. There was none of that today. Maybe because of the lateness of the game. Again, I don't know. But they're not stealing that much with Trey Turner out of the lineup, and they need Goodwin and Taylor, if he's okay, to steal bases. Manufacture runs. Even let Wilmer Difo steal a base. He's got speed. I don't get why that mindset changes. Drew's here. Thanks, Drew, for sticking with me. Surprising Nats allow people to re-enter. Usually have a very strict no re-entrance policy, including after the game to get to your parking garage. I'll take your word for it. That is a big surprise. I also think they had a choice. I think they really had to do everything they possibly could to try to save the PR hit they're going to get, and the PR hit they should get. I mean, that's definitely not a way you handle that situation at all. And they could have got 5. They could have got the whole. To be honest, they could have got the whole game in. They could have got the whole game in, and that's what makes it look worse. If the bad weather had come at 8:30, then they might have been okay. But they took a chance and it backfired. It backfired. It's the way it is. The big story here out of this game is going to be Michael Taylor. Left the game after the 3rd inning. It looked like from replays that FP was saying on the Masson telecast that it might be a oblique injury. And if that's the case, Michael Taylor's going to be out a while. So now you might lose Michael Taylor. And we're just speculating here. We don't know. We're hoping we'll try to stay on here as long as we can to get an update on Michael Taylor. And if not, Drew's going to write about Michael Taylor and Drew for tomorrow. Or later today because you're listening this morning. That's a big. The Nats cannot afford any more injuries to their offense. Trey Turner's out. You got the Taylor injury. Matt Wieters is hitting 2 for his last 25. Ryan Zimmerman hasn't hit a home run in a long time. He's been stuck on that game tying, that Expos Nats tying home run for like a couple weeks. And he did have a 2-hit night tonight. I think Zimmerman's starting to bounce out of it a little bit. But when you've got really your only big hitters, if Taylor goes out being those 3 through 6 guys, eventually they're going to slump. And that's where your problems go into play. And you don't want to see that at all, to say the least. So not exactly the game you want to have if you're the Nationals and you can't afford this kind of injury. I mean, Wilmer Difo had an excellent game tonight. 2 for 2. He gets a sac fly, gets an RBI. Gets a double in the 9th inning against Jim Johnson. And you love what FP was saying. The guy wants to play. I mean, with Turner out, there's opportunities for Steven Drew to play. There's opportunities for Difo to play. Opportunities for Adrian Sanchez to play. And if Dusty makes it say best guy's going to play, then Wilmer Difo is going to try to be that guy. I mean, Sanchez, you play him once in a while. It's a nice story. But really, your 2 big players are Drew and Difo. And if Difo's going to hit, you got to reward him. But back to the Taylor thing, you got Chris Heisey, who's been rehabbing in Syracuse, so maybe he's the fit. The guy I would think about, and I don't know if the Nationals are ready to do this yet, I would maybe think about calling up Andrew Stevenson if Taylor goes in the DL. Now, Stevenson's not on the 40, so that maybe plays a factor. But he's hitting the ball well at Syracuse. And if he's going to be your trade piece to get a reliever, a couple relievers, then give him an opportunity to make a statement. I mean, the guy played well in spring training with the major league team. He finally figured out AAA and getting a very nice rhythm. I don't think the Nats will do it, but it's we got our answer here. Dusty said Michael Taylor does have a mild oblique strain, will be placed in the DL tomorrow, and Chris Heisey's coming back. So there's your answer. And I think Heisey had a really rough beginning to his season. I don't know how. I guess they're going to put Brian Goodwin in center field the whole time and then play Rayburn and Heisey at the corners. I would rather see Andrew Stevenson. I think he would be a huge jolt to this team. But Heisey's going to get a chance, and he should get a chance. But definitely not the news the Nats needed at all. And again, we'll see what happens. But Taylor's a huge piece to this team, and you hope if he's not out for a while. But oblique strains, you saw with Ben Revere last year, how long it takes to come back in some cases. It is the middle of the year, so maybe it's a little bit easier to come back than the beginning of the season. But now you got Trey Turner out, you got Michael Taylor out, and you have Jason Worth out. How many more injuries can the offense take? I don't know. They have a good lead in the division. It's 8.5 right now. They can't afford to lose these next 3 with Atlanta. They have to find a way to win 2 of the next 3 and keep a 9.5 game lead going to the break. You can't give Atlanta any more confidence than what they have right now, because the Braves look like a team that's going to hang around. They've got a good offense. If they can get competitive starting rotation, and Fulton Newitz is pitching better, and Tehran's been good. They got rid of Cologne. Newcomb's been a nice spark for them. Jim Johnson's been good out of the closer's role. They've got the pieces. And Snicker's done a nice job. Finally, let's look at the bullpen. And gosh, every time you think the bullpen takes a step forward, it takes 3 steps back. And the big problem tonight was Sammy Solis. Gave up a couple of runs in the 7th inning, gave up 3 doubles, all to left-handed hitters. And Ciardi had a double, Freddie Freeman an RBI double, and Nick Markakis an RBI double, which is odd because Sammy Solis is a lefty and struggling to get lefties out. You hate to be so hard on him because he's just coming back, but he's pitched in 3 games coming off the DL. He's giving up a run in all 3. And it's a concern. I mean, Sammy Solis supposed to be that guy that came back and brought consistency. I don't know if you should have threw him in high leverage situations right away. That could be something for a different story. Remember, they put him in St. Louis Saturday when it was 1-0. Put him in tonight in a 3-2 game. I mean, I don't know why Oliver Perez isn't used in that instance. Maybe I'm just too high on Oliver Perez, but he's a guy wanting a high leverage spot more than Solis right now. I want Solis to get eased back into it. Matt Grace did an excellent job tonight. He comes in after Joe Blanton, gives him a couple of singles in the 8th, strikes out Ciardi, strikes out Phillips, then the 9th strikes out Freeman, strikes out Kemp. I mean, that was one of the best games I've ever seen Matt Grace pitch. But he walks Markakis, and Dusty has to go to Blake Trinan to get Kurt Suzuki, and luckily Trinan gets him out. But this bullpen's a mess. It's not something we haven't told you all year. And I don't know when it's getting better. I really don't. And you can throw out all the theories you want. I've seen the theory about you just don't want the Nats to use the bullpen. And I mean, who right now do you trust? Matt Albers gave up the game-tying home run Monday. Can't trust him anymore. Do you trust Enny Romero? Even he's been shaky last couple of games. There is 0 trust in this pen right now, and it's disappointing. We're in July. You've got to find somebody to take a role and go with it. Otherwise, you can acquire as many relievers as you want. It's not going to fix anything. Just a frustrating night all around, and I don't blame fans to be frustrated for how the Nats handled the weather. I don't blame fans for being frustrated about tonight. All in all, there's not really many positives you can take from tonight. Now with Michael Taylor being out for a while, makes the night worse. It does. Just makes the night worse. So let's take a look at the scores around the divisions. The Nats dropped to 50 and 35. Only a couple games in progress that went final today. Nats are actually the last game to go final tonight. Marlins lost to the Cardinals 4-3. Marcell Ozuna had all 3 RBIs. He's up to 67 this season, went 3 for 5. But Luke Voigt had a home run, and Randall Grichuk a solo shot in the 6th, as Michael Wacha got the win there. And the Phillies, they lost to Pittsburgh 6-3. 2 RBIs from Aaron Altair. He's up to 43 this year. Joaquin Benoit gave up 3 runs in the loss as Jeremy Hellickson had a quality start, 3 runs over 6 innings, but got a no decision. The other news from today, of course, Anthony Rendon loses the final vote, finishes in 3rd place for the All-Star voting to Justin Turner, comes in 1st. Chris Bryant comes in 2nd. And I just want to say an excellent job that you guys did out there on Twitter and all the stuff that you guys did. I saw people talking about Rendon gnomes and bobbleheads and all this great stuff. Everybody was using hashtag Vote Rendon today, and you shouldn't be ashamed of your efforts. You guys did an incredible job out there, and we were retweeting a lot of you on Twitter today. So tip your hat to you guys, even though it didn't work or Rendon came up short. Great job, and Rendon deserves it. I don't think he'll get in, but definitely deserves to be in the All-Star game. And he had a good night tonight. Another multi-hit game for him. The other news today, John Heyman reported during the rain delay, and then Chelsea James tweeted soon after the Nats are expected to finalize a deal with their first-round pick, Seth Romero, and that's huge news. The deadline is tomorrow at 5 o'clock to sign your pick. So Nats would get, I think, the 26th pick in the first round next year. But they need Romero to get going. I mean, he hasn't pitched in a while, and obviously being kicked off the team in Houston, the question will be what the Nats do with him when he signs. We heard Mike Rizzo say at the draft he's not going in the bullpen, and I believe him. Although with Eric Fetty going to the rotation again, who knows what might happen. But the question will be, where do they send him to start? Do they send him to GCL? Do they send him to Auburn? Do they send him to Hagerstown? Could go. I don't think they send him at advanced levels, but it'll be interesting to see where Seth Romero goes to start his pro ball campaign. So you'll await the particulars on that tomorrow. I'm sure the Nats will announce that at some point between now and 5 o'clock. Let's go around the minor leagues and check out what went on over there tonight. Only 3 games today. Potomac got rained out against Frederick, and Hagerstown just had a rough time with the weather. They got rained out last night. Then we're supposed to have a doubleheader today. That game got rained out, both of them. So now they won't make up those games at all this year. So just a rough weather thing for Hagerstown. They've been rained out like 8 times this year. It's not been good weather out there in Maryland. But Hagerstown's still 10-3, and they've been playing some great baseball. Let's look around to start with Syracuse. Good win over Lehigh Valley. They beat the Iron Pigs 5-0. Naftali Soto, a solo shot, his 4th of the season. And Alejandro De Aza, a 2-run shot in the 7th, his 2nd of the year. How about Edwin Jackson? 5 innings, 4 hits, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. He did give up a hit for the first time in 4 starts with the Chiefs, but he has been excellent since being signed by the Nats on that minor league deal. And you have to wonder if Tanner Roark's struggles continue, if there is an injury to the rotation, you have Edwin Jackson in the fold. Now, I know fans might not trust him, but he has done a really good job at AAA. Walks can be better, no question about it, but I've liked what Edwin Jackson's done. How about Wander Suero? 11 pitches, 9 strikes in the 9th inning tonight. Struck out 1 in a 1-2-3 inning, a 1.65 ERA in AAA. And you have to wonder, when are the Nats going to call that guy up? He has been excellent at Harrisburg this year, excellent at Syracuse. He's not on the 40-man. He's been a non-roster invitee 2 years in a row. I wrote about him like about a month ago when he just got promoted to Syracuse. You wonder when the Nats gonna realize it and call him up. I know it's a roster issue, and sometimes we see things differently than how they see it. But his results are gonna start making people wake up. It's just been really good this year. To Double-A Harrisburg, they lost to Akron 4-1 in 10 innings. Akron scored 3 in the top of the 10th on a 3-run shot by Luigi Rodriguez. Derek Eitel got the start for Harrisburg. 5 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. He struck out 6. Derek Self took the loss. And Yadiel Hernandez, the only run for Harrisburg, a solo shot in the 3rd, his 5th of the season. They only had 4 hits tonight. And Auburn, in the New York Penn League, they had their long losing streak snapped last night. Now they've won 2 in a row. They beat Batavia 4-3. 3 runs in the 4th inning, kind of the difference in this ball game. RBIs for Omar Merlegdio, Cameron Estee, and Jonathan Pryor. Ben Bramer gets the win. 5 innings, 1 run, 5 hits. He struck out 4. He's had a couple good starts for the Double Days. Won New York Penn League Pitcher of the Week last week. And Jerry McKinney got the save, 2 innings, 1 hit, and he struck out 1. No GCL Nats today, but it's good news that Juan Soto has been rehabbing with the Nats GCL, and you saw Baseball Prospectus's top 50 prospects, and Victor Robles is 4th, and Juan Soto's 12th, and he hasn't really played much this year. So Soto's really one of those guys. You look at Nats' untouchable prospects, the deadline, and maybe the more the bullpen struggles, the more those don't become untouchables. But you're looking at Victor Robles, Juan Soto, Carter Kieboom, and Eric Fedde as the 4 guys you want to keep. The rest, you have to wonder how many of those guys are going to use to get help for this team, because this team deserves as many upgrades as you can get it. I mean, they've been that good. Now you just have to wonder, though, eventually they need to bat in addition to the bullpen. But we'll talk about that at a later time, of course. Let's take a look at what's going on tomorrow. Hopefully the game starts earlier than 10:10. I don't think any rain is in the forecast. I'll be with you for tomorrow on Masson and WUSA 9. This will be my last game of the first half. R.A. Dickey gets the start for the Braves, 6-5 with a 4.44 against Max Scherzer, who's 10-5 with a 1.94. Now, Scherzer did lose against Atlanta back in May, probably one of his worst games of the season at SunTrust Park. So just because Max Scherzer is pitching in this game doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win. But 10-plus strikeouts in 7 of his last 8 games. He was excellent against the Cardinals on Sunday night. He's given up 2 runs or fewer in his last 8 starts. Back to fact, last time he didn't was that Braves start on May 20th. 5 innings, 3 runs, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, and a pair of home runs. He's only given up 2 home runs since that game. So the Braves will see if they figure out Scherzer a little bit, but right now you have to feel confident that when he takes the mound, you're going to win. He's said that kind of stuff where he'll go out there, he'll strike out the first 4 or 5 in a game, and everything will be okay. So he's the guy you want. You had 3-game win streak get snapped. Now you want to see if Scherzer in his last start will get the job done. And then after tomorrow, his next start, you hope, is Tuesday night starting for the National League in the All-Star game. As for R.A. Dickey, Nats got to him good back on June 13th. 8 runs over 5 innings, gave 3 home runs. Now, Dickey, since then, has given up just 2 runs over his last 20 innings and has struck out 16 and walked 5. So we've seen a much better R.A. Dickey. It'll depend on how the knuckleball is going that night, and that'll be the question. Keep an eye on Ryan Zimmerman. He has not homered since that game, but he had 2 against R.A. Dickey on June 13th. And I think he's hit 3 against Dickey this year. So if Ryan Zimmerman's going to get that franchise home run that breaks the record, I think it'll be tomorrow. And you would hope, I'm not saying he has to get it this weekend, but you would like to have him get it out of the way this weekend. It would be great. And then that's go on the road for like 9 games after the break. So it'd be nice for Zimmerman to get it done at home and get the ovation he deserves. So I would expect the Nationals to win tomorrow. Max Scherzer, of course, when he's on the mound, it's not a guaranteed win, but it's pretty close to it. As close as you can get to in the game, other than maybe Kershaw. So I'm not too worried about tonight, but I think the one thing you're worried about was with Taylor, and we'll see where it goes from there. We got a lot of stuff going up on the site today. We had 5 to watch for the Braves. Drew wrote that. I wrote a piece from Nick Cafardo, reported this weekend that the Mets would not trade Addison Reed to the Nationals, and I looked at that, and I got some help from JT Turan from Rising Apple. So check that out. Ron wrote about the Matt Wieters conundrum and how he might not opt out. And Wieters has been bad over the last few weeks. As I said, 2 for his last 25. He had it grounded to a 6-5 3-double play tonight. If he struggles continue all year, Matt Wieters doesn't opt out, and now you're stuck with that contract. Plus, Pedro Severino has been hurt this year in AAA. How available you think Roddy Reed is, that'll be interesting. So we got that coming up. We got a lot of things coming up tomorrow as well. Ron's going to write more on the chaos that was tonight's game at Nats Park with the weather and the rain and the inclement weather that was supposed to happen. Drew's going to write more on the Taylor injury. Of course, if you just joined us, if you're still up, that Michael Taylor is going on the DL with a mild oblique strain. Chris Heisey's coming back. And I will be writing a piece on Anthony Swarzak. Now, if you're not familiar with him, I've been doing a lot of pieces on possible reliever options. Swarzak had a bad year at the Yankees last season. Got signed to a minimum deal with the White Sox, and he's been excellent this season. His fastball velocity is up to over 94. He's been pitching great in the 7th inning for Chicago. And with bullpen guys, you got to ride the hot hand and get the guys who are confident. And Swarzak with the Nats needing reliable right-handers, might fit that bill. If they don't get David Robertson, or John Heyman proposed a deal on FanRag where they would get Robertson and Swarzak, which would probably help the bullpen. I wasn't really keen on Swarzak. Then I looked at the numbers. I saw how good he was. So check that out. You'll also see next week we'll have a lot of good All-Star coverage. I did an interview today. It's going to go up next week. I talked with Eric Fetty earlier today. So that'll go up sometime next week. I think you guys will enjoy it. I got to talk to him about going from reliever to starter and how his adjustment to the bullpen went. And you'll hear a lot about what's been going on with him this season. Definitely one of the prospects you want to watch. So I'll be having that conversation with Eric Fetty go up next week. So again, follow us on Twitter at District on Deck. Follow me at Rickinator555. Like us on Facebook. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. We do videos for every game. I believe we're going to do one for the All-Star game too. So after the Nats play in the All-Star game, Ron and I will be here, and we'll talk about how the Nats did in the All-Star game. Maybe we'll have one other show during that break, but we'll have more on that as the weekend goes on. So I'll be with you tomorrow. Ron will be with you Saturday and Sunday, and then we will have the All-Star game. And that's about a good first half, no question about it. But bullpen is still an issue, and a lot of injuries on the offense right now. So the Nats have, being 15 games over at 50-35, you still have your fair share of problems. But they're going to have to take care of business, and they've got Scherzer and Strasburg the next couple nights to try to do that. So from all of us here at District on Deck, I'm Ricky Keeler saying, well, it's almost 2 in the morning, so hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you back here tomorrow night for Max Scherzer against the Braves.